What do you think of Pharmaca? It originated from the
Pharmacos.
word, yeah, pharmacos.
The word is scapegoat related.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the etymology of scapegoat is pharmacos and pharmacy and all that. It's interesting. In the I think it was the 1100s when Marco Polo went to China.
Yeah. Yeah.
He went to China and he came back to Italy and he said, "Hey, everybody, guys, heal other guys with herbs." And Italy was the first place where the pharmacies arose.
Oh,
This is a revelation because before pharmacies, healing was done by wise women who were called witches.
witches.
And so, for in the 1200s and 1300s, you'd see uh, economic battle to go on between the pharmacies and the folk healers, the witches,
Yep.
to see who would be the main healers.
Yep.
And it took a while for the pharmaceutical industries, the pharmacies, to uh, spread from Italy to the rest of Europe. But when they did, when pharmacies were everywhere, and they got tired of competing with women who probably had better pricing and more
Yeah.
knowledge,
Yeah.
then they said, no, we're ready to take over now. And then that's when witch became a bad word. And that's when the witch burnings began and the witch hunts began. It was a takeover of the economy.
Wow.
It was greed, you know, profit oriented scapegoating, and which is similar to what you see today with herbal medicine today, except it's called stopping drug abuse instead of stopping witchcraft. And that's really the kind of epiphany that Thomas Saz brought to light with his ceremonial chemistry. He saw the drug war for what it was, and wasn't it a genuine concern over people's health, because
Yeah.
then they would have respected medical autonomy. It was scapegoating for greed. The scholarship surrounding cannabis psychosis today, it's further attempts, more sophisticated attempts to steal an economy away from regular people, to steal the coevolutionary plant partner away from normal, you know, unaccredited people, and just give it to economic elite.
This decade they released way more movies and this like
The 30s were the decade where most of the anti-pot movies came out of. What you see in the 50s was comic books and pulp fiction novels. That was the main method of stigmatizing cannabis. And, you know, newspaper articles every decade. But
yeah.
most people, well, some people did read the newspapers, but I think even more people read these dime store novels uh, and these comic books. And that was a popular medium of the day. And you see a lot of information come that way. And the jazz was still there. And I think a lot of the pro-cannabis jazz music had been stamped out by then. But then there were still records around from the 1930s, and they were listened to by these New York intellectuals, and they decided to kind of take that message, add to it a little bit, and then it comes out in these novels. These
Oh.
dime store novels, a lot of them were sensationalist, but a few of them, they were very subversive, and that's where the beats came in.
Oh. Wow. See how the connection things started and then they crush it and then nature pours it back and make it a bigger tree than originally it was.
Well, every different media of communication has you know, it's initially dominated by the establishment, and then it gets subverted by the smarty pants crowd. The
Yeah.
smartest people take these new mediums of communication and subvert them to vectors of distribution of evidence that debunks the establishment's narrative.
So
And
do
that
you
happened in the 50s with these novels.
Do you think ever in US they will federally legalize cannabis?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think it would have happened under a Sanders presidency. I keep hoping the virus kills Trump and Pence and Biden so that we can see that happen. But you know what needs to happen before that happens is that the Democratic Party needs to deal with the fraud in its primary process,
Yeah.
because all the exit polls in the primaries indicate Sanders is winning,
Yeah.
but the vote was substantially different than the exit polls in the primaries. And I think Sanders um, was a victim of fraud both in 2016 and this year, 2020.
But let's think for the worst, like Trump lives and Joe Biden lives. So we had an
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
So, well, like, what are the options then? Like, who could say that? Okay, you know what? Like, we are already in so much shit. We are losing money. Let's make money this way, right?
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing, though. The money is made by denying people their independence and creating uh, artificial relationships of dependence through justifying uh, the exclusive relationship of cannabis production to the privileged few, and they can do that under any various forms of legalization. I mean, what Biden is a long time advocate for the drug war. He's
Yeah,
been a drug war hawk,
yeah.
uh, and he came up with the term drug czar. That was a Biden invention. So coming from him, he's probably going to come up with some sort of horrible decrim type situation that'll involve replacing people going to jail for possession with people going to jail for unpaid fines for possession. I can see that happening. There are various types of decrim that are worse than outright prohibition. Really, nobody on earth has impressed me with their legalization model. But what it should be is the same model as organic fair trade coffee beans, but you don't see that anywhere.
Oh, it's not gonna happen, David, like that with the organic coffee. You spend so
Sure,
much money.
poor people can grow it and sell it, then that's drug peace to me.
See, the people who are against it, they use another term that okay, we don't care if people, let's just say, use it, and when they smoke it, like they become, some say lazy, and some like they give up easily, like they don't fight, and then we need a person who goes to work or who fights for his rights.
Well, all
Like
that's
people
bullshit, right?
becomes
Because
mellow.
who are the hardest working people in Canada? The people who built the railway.
Yes.
Those are the Chinese. They
Yeah.
all smoked opium every
Yeah.
day. So that's all just propaganda too.
Well, that got opium banned because Americans couldn't compete with them. They were saying, okay, these guys are using opiums, and that's one of the main reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, white supremacy and corporate greed
Yeah,
responsible for all the drug prohibitions, not just
yeah,
cannabis.
yes, absolutely right. Yeah, so what else we going to talk about this this decade that we
Well, I think
missed?
the one thing that I want to draw attention to is Louis Armstrong, who in I think '58 or in the '50s anyway, sometime in the '50s, he wrote to Eisenhower and said pot should be legalized. We have to take our hats off to Louis Armstrong, who was really the pioneer for pot activism, and who, unlike Ginsburg, didn't really have any baggage that you would say is, you know, not a lot of bathwater, mostly baby
Yeah,
with him, right?
yeah.
So, yes,
Uh,
thank you, Louis Armstrong, for getting the ball rolling. Next week, we'll talk about the '60s, and that's when
yeah, I
the
have
subculture
this.
began to give the main culture a run for its money.
I have
And
this.
the hippies were a huge percentage of the population, and they really had an effect on the way marijuana was viewed.
Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about it next week. But I have one last question before we
Yes.
go. So it says like they had a beard marriage, the marriage like relationship between gay people of different sexes to hide their sexuality.
Oh yeah, those two writers of that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
marijuana book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when a lesbian and a homosexual pretend to be a couple, so that nobody will ask any questions about them.
So
And you had
how?
to do that at one time. Being homosexual was illegal, so you had to hide your homosexuality in order to avoid jail.
Oh, oh. So
Sodomy law.
how?
That's what
Yeah.
those are, right?
Yeah. So how did it came up with the term beard marriage? Like,
Well, you could put a beard on, a fake beard, and
uh,
take it off, and you take it off at night and put it on. It's like a disguise.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Have a good day.
You too. Thank